Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm so honoured to be here tonight. It's really wonderful to see so many people from so many different faiths and backgrounds together. I'm going to be talking tonight about legacy, and I want us to start off by thinking about ourselves as individuals. In 100 years' time, maybe there'll be a group similar to this, sitting in a building similar to this, and what will they be saying about our generation? What will they be saying about the things that have happened at the moment and the way that we handled them? What will our legacy be? There was a man who left an amazing legacy, and that was the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Such a huge legacy, in fact, that this illiterate man, like we've heard before, nearly 1.6 million Muslims now, from just 1,500 years ago. I myself, I'm a new, well, saying new, 23 years Muslim, but I was brought up in a non-Muslim background too. And why? Because before Islam, I asked lots of questions about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I was interested in knowing. And so what I'm going to do tonight is just to give you a glimpse, and just a small glimpse, because there are so many things that there's no way that I could fit them all in. But we're going to go back now to a time of intolerance, and we've heard that the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when Islam was first revealed, was a time of intolerance. And him and his companions were subjected to violence, to verbal abuse, and even to murder. And why? Simply because people did not like the idea of Islam. They feared something new was going on. And the violence and the abuse was constant, and it was ruthless. Now I'm going to bring you back to now. Can you imagine when you leave for work each morning, or you go to your studies or wherever you go, imagine that everybody on your street hates you. And there's somebody on your street every day who puts out rubbish for you in front of your path and throws things at you as you're passing their house. I think most of us would probably be contacting the council, wouldn't we? Or maybe the police or something like this. Do you know something? Exactly this happened to the Prophet, peace be upon him. When he used to leave his house and go about his business, there was a lady, non-Muslim lady, who hated the idea of Islam. And what she used to do, she used to throw rubbish and thorns. And you know in England we have hawthorn, right? The thorns are like that big, okay? Now when you go to the Arab lands, you go to the Muslim countries, the thorns are like that big. So we're talking serious thorn damage here. So this happened, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, was a peaceful and loving and kind man. So he would just keep silent and carry on his business. And he wouldn't say anything to her. Most of us would. Most of us would have at least had a knock on the door and said, actually, this isn't okay what you're doing, and I kind of needed to stop. Some of us would do worse than that. One day, there was no more rubbish there. And the lady had stopped throwing rubbish. What would our reaction be? Like, yay, stopped. She stopped. We're so happy. Do you know the Prophet, peace be upon him? How amazing is this? Instead of celebrating the fact that she'd stopped, he was concerned for her welfare and went to her house to ask after how she was. And one of her neighbours said, the lady's sick. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, can I go visit her? And so he went into her house and he visited this lady. And she was worried. She was worried that something was going to happen. And she realised very quickly that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was genuinely concerned and had genuinely come to her with kindness in his heart. What an amazing story, and what an amazing individual. Now, I'm going to take you a little bit further on in time. To the time of around the time when the Muslims were being incredibly abused. People were being killed. Some of the Muslims had been sent to safety in a Christian country, in Abyssinia, with a king called Mecca. Okay? And back in Mecca, where all this was happening, the Quraysh, which was the name of the tribe of the Prophet, peace be upon him, his family, who were very, very against Islam, many of them, they actually plotted to murder him. They plotted to go into his house and to murder him. They wanted to get rid of this prophet. They wanted to get rid of this Islam. And so himself and his close friend Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, they decided that they were going to leave and that they were going to go up to the city of Medina. And imagine at a time like this, who could you trust? You don't know who's against you, you don't know who's spying on you, you don't know who's plotting to murder you. And they needed a guide. They needed a guide to take them from Mecca up to Medina. And they chose a guy called Abdullah. Now we all think of the name Abdullah as being a strictly Muslim only name, don't we? Actually it's not. It just means servant of God. This guy who they chose was not a Muslim. But he was chosen based on him being an amazing character and him having the skills that the Prophet, peace be upon him, and Abu Bakr needed to take them from Mecca to Medina, because it was an integrated society. Now, there was one person left in Mecca, and he was left in the house of the Prophet, peace be upon him, so that when the Quraysh, the tribe, came in, and they found it empty, except one person in the bed of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that was Ali. And he was the cousin of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And do you know why he'd been left behind? He'd not been left behind to defend the Prophet's house, no. He'd not even been left behind so that he could say something to people. He'd been left behind because the Prophet, peace be upon him, had been entrusted with wealth and goods from the leaders of the Quraysh tribe, and he wanted to ensure that they got their goods back because it was a trust. So these people who were plotting to murder him, he wanted to make sure that they got their things back, their riches back. Now, Medina, as we've heard, was a multicultural society. And it was very mixed, many different religions, many different people. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't go there to try and force people to become Muslim. Like we've heard before, that's not what Islam's all about. In fact, in the Quran, in chapter 2, it says there is no compulsion in religion. No compulsion in religion. Nobody's under any compulsion to become any religion at all. It's up to us as individuals what we follow. Now, I'm going to bring you back to now. I want you to imagine something. Can you imagine if an individual, anybody, walked into, say, St. Paul's Cathedral, or Westminster Cathedral, or the Vatican, and started urinating in a corner? Can you imagine the reaction? Can you imagine the Daily Mail and what they'd say about reading the Daily Mail? Amazing newspaper. Anyway, I'm going to take you back again now. This actually happened at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. He established a mosque in Medina. And a guy, a Bedouin, a very rough guy, came into the mosque and started urinating in the corner. And the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, were, like most people, would be completely incensed by this. Look, this guy's doing his thing in the corner. What's happening here? This is completely unacceptable. We have to take him out or do something to stop him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, stopped them. And he said, no, leave him. Let him finish. So now you think the telling off's going to come, don't you? It's not. No, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he let the guy finish. We know now that medically you have to let someone finish. It's actually really bad for you if you don't. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, instead of telling the guy off, said to his companions, take some water and pour it on the place, and then we're able to pray again. I don't think that guy would ever have imagined thinking about doing something like that in the mosque again. However, the message was there without a word being said to him. It's the wisdom of actions rather than reacting in a negative way. And I think a lot of people, a lot of us Muslims, we need to learn major lessons from this. Now, later on, the Prophet, peace be upon him, returned to his beloved town of Mecca. I mean, I'm from Sheffield, and I love Sheffield, been there my whole life. I can't even imagine spending years and years and years isolated from my city. Can you imagine, I mean, many of you probably from Manchester and from other places, can you imagine your birth city and having to spend years and years away from it, leaving your family, leaving your friends, leaving your possessions, everything? This is what these guys had to endure, because they couldn't go back. So eventually, 10,000 of them returned to Mecca. And we're all thinking now, right, okay, there's going to be a war going on here. No, there was no war. The leaders of the Quraysh, of the tribe that had plotted to kill the Prophet, peace be upon him, originally, knew that these 10,000 people, and many people also who were living in Mecca, wanted Islam there. They wanted to be Muslim. They wanted to be allowed to practice their faith freely. And so they decided that we have no choice. We have to let these guys in. You know, they're our brethren, they're our families. We have to let them in. So families were overjoyed. They were reunited. Imagine not seeing your kids, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters were separated for so many years, and suddenly they were allowed to be back together again. But the oppressors, the people who had fought against the Prophet, peace be upon him, and tried to kill him, were scared now. They wondered, what's going to happen to us now? You know, the Muslims have come back, there's 10,000 of them. Are we in danger from these people? The Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered them together. The Prophet, peace be upon him, it said, had the most beautiful smile, and a small gap between his two front teeth. And he was smiling, and he looked at the Quraysh, the leaders of the Quraysh, and he said, what do you think I'm going to do with you now? And one of the leaders of the Quraysh, who was called Suhail, who was one of the ones who had been the most violent with his words against the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, we think that you will treat us with kindness, O noble brother. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, smiled, and he said to them, go, you are free. So even after all this oppression, all this negativity, the Prophet, peace be upon him, still preached peace and kindness and treated other people with the most beautiful of ways. And this is the legacy that we've got. And this legacy is a message, I believe, for the whole of humanity. And it's a message of peace and unity and hope. And this is just a taste of what we've got. In the Quran, it says, we will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. The very fact, and it's amazing that everybody is here today, shows that our hearts are changed. And that seed of change is there. So it's our job now to create this legacy and to take it away with us and to tell the people who are not here that yes, Islam is a religion of peace, and that's whether you're giving the message to Muslims or to non-Muslims or to the media or to whoever. Because in 100 years' time, maybe when our ancestors are here, the people who leave are here, our sons, our daughters, then maybe they will be saying, yes, the legacy that our grandparents and our great-grandparents was an amazing one of peace, unity, and hope. Thank you very much.